So I think we need to talk about exposure. Exposure is a complicated, nuanced part of photography, incorporating elements such as shutter speed, aperture size and sensor gain. You need maths and a little bit of physics to understand exposure, but it takes an intuitive feel for mood and time to master. Ooh! But I think it can be expressed in one simple sentence: making your desired image lighter or darker. What? Well, kind of. Let me explain. I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who's watched my videos so far. It means the absolute world to me that anybody would watch them, so thank you again. If you could give us a like, if you could subscribe, it would really help me grow the channel, give me the incentive to keep going, and see if I can get better and make better content for you guys. Amazing. But yeah, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. That's my tummy. Well, I suppose it's the same place really. Yeah, thank you. In the 1930s, Kodak's optical labs determined that the perceived balance point of reflectance to the human eye was about 18% grey. What? 18? Not 50? In fact, modern cameras are set around 12 or 13%. No way! Yes. Just remember, it's all about human perception and not actual reality. I've had experts on social media condemn my photos as too bright and overexposed, or ironically, too dark and underexposed. But, you know, due to differences in perception and opinion. But most of those choices were intentional, and I stand by them. Designed to reflect mood and capture the desired ambience for the image. It's also a learning curve, so don't expect to get every image right straight away. If ever. Go with your gut, ask yourself honest questions in post-processing, and keep learning by following the work of photographers that you admire. But don't modern cameras control exposure automatically? Yes, but they always go by the 18 or 12% rule, and that may not suit the actual scene or your artistic interpretation of it. What if you have a particular effect in mind, like a shallow depth of field, or a long exposure? Well, you'll need to manually alter some settings to achieve the desired results and still have a viewable image that isn't too bright or dark. Now, I don't want to get too technical. For me, photography is as much about emotions and feelings and existential questions as it is about knobs and dials and calculations. A workout for the soul as well as the mind. Keeping that thought in your head, I'd like to move on to one of the more controversial shapes in photography. The exposure triangle. Ha! How can a triangle be controversial? Well, because technically one side has nothing to do with the actual act of exposure. But we'll get to that. On the left here, we've got shutter speed. Imagine this like the iris in your eye that opens or closes to allow more or less light through to the cornea. Except in the camera's case, you can adjust the timing of it by fractions of a second or multiple seconds to achieve a faster or slower shutter speed, freezing action, or stretching it out. Okay then, I get that. Okay, so when you choose your shutter speed, your camera is going to let more or less light in depending on whether it's a faster or slower shutter. And this will affect your exposure. So your first port of call is to change the aperture. A wider aperture or smaller aperture value will allow more light in, but it will affect the depth of field, especially at longer focal lengths. But what if I don't want to change my aperture due to some artistic choice? I'm getting to that, but let me explain about aperture first. Okay. Oh, cool. So on the right here, we have aperture, which is all about the size of the hole. Not that hole. Phew. The hole when the shutter opens, which, going back to the eye analogy, is like the pupil letting more or less light in. The side effect of changing the aperture is that it affects depth of field, bringing more or less of the image into focus. The aperture closes in steps or stops, each one allowing double or half the amount of light through, depending on whether you're stopping up or down. The numbers assigned to these stops are called F numbers, like F1.8 or F4 or F11. And these numbers are calculated by dividing the focal length, like 50mm or 100mm or 16mm, by the aperture size. So my little camera here has a 50mm lens on it, and the aperture size is 25mm. Let's put that in. Nearly 25mm. Okay, now if I reduce the aperture size to, let's say, 12.5mm, that 50mm lens divided by 12.5 comes out at f4. Got it? I think so. So if I had a 100mm lens with a 50mm hole, it would be at f2. If I increase the f number to f4, it actually makes the aperture hole smaller. Is that right? Brilliant. Well done. No, thanks. Lower f numbers, like f1.4 or f2.8, are better if you want to isolate your subject and get those beautiful blurry backgrounds, whereas higher f numbers like f8 and above are better if you want to get front to back focus. So what about ISO?
Well, I'm coming to that. Well, I left it for last for a reason.
Okay, don't get your knickers in a twist.
I can't.
I'm not wearing any. Oh, hang on. I think I'm going to be... You see, shutter speed and aperture size are about creative choices. They're tools by which one creates a desired image. They're about the photographer's decisions about how light is applied to the film or sensor. They're the building blocks of the photograph. Shutter speed is the foundation that decides how much time is squeezed into that single captured moment. And the aperture, well, the walls and the windows decides how much of that image is revealed to the audience and how much is to remain a mystery. By the very nature of camera mechanics, they have their limits, like the size of the hull. Ooh. And that's where technology comes in. When you've chosen the settings you want for your image, but there's too little light, and something else needs to change. Okay, I think I see now. Good. So now ISO.
Invented by the International Organisation for Standardisation and based on the Greek term isos, meaning equal. ISO was a system developed in the 1970s to standardise the sensitivity of camera film. ISO does not change the amount of light hitting your sensor, and therefore it doesn't affect physical exposure like shutter speed or aperture size does. But what it does do is it amplifies the signal coming off the sensor, like turning up your volume dial on a radio. The downside of increasing the ISO, just like the radio analogy, is that if there's any noise in the signal, it will amplify that too, requiring a clean-up in post-production.
I see. But what if I want less light? What if I'm doing a long exposure in the daytime and I'm on ISO 50 and f22 and it's still too bright?
Filters.
What? Like a tumble dryer?
No. Neutral density filters, or ND filters for short. They're pieces of darkened glass that reduce the amount of light reaching the sensor. These can go in front or behind the lens, depending on the system, but the results are the same. ND filters come in a range of strengths, starting with ND8, which reduces the light by 3 stops, and up to ND1000, which reduces it by 10.
It's not a triangle. It's got 2 main sides, aperture and shutter speed, which is how you create your image. And then it's got ISO and ND filters at either end, which is how you reduce the light coming off the signal coming off the sensor and reduce the amount of light that gets to it. So it's more like an exposure rectangle, really. Isn't it?
Well, I did tell you it's controversial. So going back to my original point, you are in control by using the exposure triangle, rectangle. So your camera's exposure reading is there as a guide, and just like every other aspect of photography, the final decision is up to you and your artistic vision for that image. Some of the most striking images can be made by playing with your exposure to emphasise or isolate a subject against an opposing background, or simplifying a photo into its minimalist elements. It's up to you. Be in control, be intentional, be creative, but most of all, don't let anybody tell you that you're over or under exposed. I mean, would you let someone tell you how to dress?